Hi, and welcome to another of our Gardener Tech video series. Today we're going to be looking at one of the challenges that we certainly see for many of our NetApp customers is how to manage and get insight into the data that sits on your ONTAP system. To help me to go through that, I'm joined by two people from Catalogic Software, Rich Wallace and Will Bush. Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Morning, Paul. All good? You well?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. And Will, yourself?
Yeah, morning, Paul. Very good, thank you. Very good.
Okay, so during during this session, we're going to be taking a look at this kind of idea of managing and gaining insight into data sat across your NetApp ONTAP estate. So, without further ado, why don't I hand over to Rich to kind of introduce us to the topic and tell us a little bit about how Catalogic are helping.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. So, hi, everyone. What we're going to do today is just a quick run through and a demonstration of a product called Restore Manager. Before I do that, I'll just give you a quick introduction to Catalogic Software. We have a portfolio of, NetApp-related tools, data protection tools, and data management tools. ECX being our copy data management platform, that works specifically with NetApp and Pure and IBM technologies, and we do in fact OEM that out to IBM as their Spectrum copy data management platform. We have DPX, multi-purpose data protection. I'll touch on one of the elements of that as we go through looking at Restore Manager. vProtect, which looks at edge hypervisors, protecting edge hypervisors, and that integrates directly into your existing data protection tools. And Codo, which is an Office 365 protection. But for today, we're going to focus on one of our NetApp solutions. We've done, a session around CryptoSpike, and today's session specifically looks at Restore Manager. So really the idea behind both of these solutions is that your NetApp technology, we've, Paul and I especially, have worked in the NetApp world for many, many years, and we understand that it's great technology, very good at what it does. But we've recognized there are a couple of blind spots, as there are with most storage technologies. And these two solutions, CryptoSpike and Restore Manager, just plug those gaps and add value really to the investment that you've already made in your NetApp systems. So today we're going to focus on Restore Manager, and that's really all around a very, very simple issue, which is file cataloging and visibility and search capabilities within NetApp. So at a high level, we're effectively creating a centralized file catalog, providing easy, simple search capabilities and recovery from snapshots. One of the additional values of Restore Manager is the fact that we can also add in data analytics. So what I'll do is just kind of briefly go through the solution and explain how this all works. So really just looking at the first issue, which is, a lot of people will use NetApp as a file system, and it's very good at that. However, I've kind of put the picture on here of a badly organized library. So it really is a case of data's going in, and it's snapshotted and it's copied and it's all stored in there in a very good way. However, actually finding those copies of those files is actually really quite difficult. Imagine, the badly organized library with no index, books just stored on shelves everywhere. And if you've got billions of files, it's very, very difficult to find that information. There's a lot of different locations, a lot of different snapshots, maybe vaults, maybe mirrors, multiple versions of those files. So actually discovering and finding where they are is very difficult. And it may be that you just need to find that file just for instant recovery of a file that somebody's lost, or it might be a bit more serious where it's a legal or compliance requirement to find data within that file system. So currently that is a very manual process and very, very difficult to do. Another issue within NetApp is really just analyzing the data that you've got in there. We know a number of customers who've been running NetApp files for many, many years, and it is just a big repository for data. But how do you know what's going on in that environment? How do you know how much space you're using up? Who's saving what, where? When was data last accessed? what are the largest files in your environment, who owns them, all that kind of information. So we've then got the capability to look at the data analytics within the file system to be able to really look at who's doing what, who are the bad citizens that are maybe storing too much data, old data, stale data, and then potentially think about, well, does that really need to be sitting on your file system, or could we look at ways to maybe move that onto another tier for archiving purposes and free up some valuable space within the environment?
And Rich, actually,
Yeah,
just to comment on that as well. I mean, I think it's a hugely valuable capability. That I think one of the challenges that we see with for a lot of our customers is that when they're running these kind of big unstructured data repositories, you know, running NetApp as a NAS platform, or certainly part of it, using it certainly for part of that reason, is that insight into kind of the data they have, and for lots of the reasons that you just mentioned on that previous slide. You know, today it's not just about being able to do a restore. Often the challenge is around finding data that you have about an individual for compliance and regulatory reasons. There's information in there about understanding how that data is being used so that you can more cost effectively manage what you're doing, particularly as we see people starting to utilize public cloud and on-demand subscription services, where they're suddenly going from being charged for data where maybe they go and get budget for a storage refresh once every 5 years, and that might be a painful thing that they go through, you know, on those occasions. But after that process being done and budget has been awarded, that kind of gets forgotten. But what we're starting to see now is people increasingly move to cloud as a storage repository. Suddenly they're starting to see those bills come in, month out. And that can include if they're running ONTAP as a public cloud service. So I think that idea of understanding where your data is and what it contains and who's accessing it from a compliance and regulatory point of view is hugely important, but also from a commercial point of view, from a cost effectiveness point of view, the idea of understanding whether your data is even being used before you continually buy more storage to look after it or buy more capacity to protect it and back it up. So I think there, and certainly it's something we talk to our customers all the time: understand the data that you've got, understand the amount of information you've got, and have that as a basis of your data strategy going forward.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think, yeah, I mean, currently there just is no visibility of it, and you know, you are kind of working a bit blind with that environment. So yeah, a very good summary, Paul. So how it works, very simply, we just get the file metadata, and we use the snapdiff protocol. What that means is that the actual indexing and cataloging process is relatively lightweight and is only doing differentials from the point of the first crawl. So we can get into the environment and get all that metadata into a back-end metadata catalog. That allows us then to do the instant search capability, where we can find a file, a copy of a file, a snapshot, wherever that lives, and then very easily identify that and do a single click recovery. What that also means is we've got that metadata sitting in the catalog, so we can then start to interrogate that data with a number of reporting and file analytics areas. So looking at things like, you know, files by type, files by size, different parameters, and we can design those using Kibana dashboards to really suit what a customer's looking to find within that environment. So very, very simple solution, very lightweight, and also, you know, it doesn't have a huge impact on your own environment. So in summary, really, maybe the library analogy I quite like, you know, so we've gone from a big old library repository full of books, not indexed, not catalogued, all just thrown on the shelves, and trying to find those books in that environment is very difficult, to a very well ordered library now with an index and a catalog. So whatever it is you want to find in that environment is very, very easy to find. So we're really providing, and I've put these highlights in this slide here, visibility of the environment, better control over the environment, and as you've said, Paul, you know, in two areas that. So being able to control what is there and should it actually be there, but also just control the visibility and capability of finding things. Simplified management is really a given, but then also the insight, I think, is absolutely key here. and gaining that insight into the data that could have been sat there for 10 years plus and not been accessed for that period of time. So really, it really is just about providing that high level visibility and control over the environment.
Yeah, and I'd agree. I mean, I think all of those 5 things there are absolutely core components of the modern way we manage data, or certainly should be the modern way we manage data. Understanding it, insight, having visibility of how our data is being used, simplifying the management, making sure it's controlled and secure. I think are absolutely key to it.
Absolutely. And then one other value we do see with Restore Manager is for those of you who have been using NetApp for a long period of time, there's that kind of battle, I guess, going on where is a snapshot and a vault and a mirror really a backup? I sit on the side of the fence that says not really a backup. It's a copy of data. Now, I think by layering Restore Manager on top of that functionality, snapshots and vaults and mirrors, and providing the visibility to instantly search and recover data from those technologies, it does start to make operational recovery from NetApp much, much easier. Now, I wouldn't say that is an absolute backup. You'd still probably want to get something off box for the worst situation happening, with a tape backup or a cloud backup or something like that. But I think for operational recovery, you can start to layer this into the way you manage the data and back that up. Which brings me on to the next slide, which, as I said at the start here, how we kind of start to blend some of these solutions together with NDMP. So you may want then to say, well, am I currently protecting my NetApp file shares with expensive data protection from a legacy provider? Well, maybe I could put Restore Manager on there for, I would guess, maybe 90% of my general recoveries, because I can instantly search and one-click recover from that. But then just put some kind of functional NDMP backup on the back of that for longer-term archive. And that's a part of the DPX family here, and it's good value. And one of the key things here is that it can do indexing as well, so we can do individual file recovery from an NDMP backup. So it's just a different way of looking at how you might want to manage that data in the file system, given the capability that you've got with Restore Manager. Any thoughts on that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always think the question about whether taking snapshots of a backup is always an interesting one. My personal view on it, and I think everything you've said is absolutely right. I think my personal view on it is it depends, and I think it's like with most data protection solutions, it's about understanding whether the data protection tools that you have natively within the platforms you've got, or whatever they may be. I mean, it's interesting, you talked right at the beginning about you having an Office 365 data protection tool as well. And I think these kind of things mirror each other quite nicely, in that understanding natively what just relying on snapshots actually means to your business, in the same way as relying on just what can be done in Office 365. Understand what the capabilities and limitations of those platforms are, and then ask yourself the question, is that enough for my data protection demands within my business? So, the ability that if you decide then that a snapshot isn't, that maybe a tool like DPX NDMP copy capability, so we can get that off onto tape or maybe into cloud, into an S3 bucket, gives you that additional layer of protection to help to meet your organization's needs. So I think it's absolutely valid that the question gets asked, and maybe if snapshots are enough because you've decided they are, that's great. And if not, it's really useful to understand there are alternative ways of delivering that. Yeah,
absolutely. So just to kind of finish off and just kind of clarify how this is licensed, very, very simple. It's just done on tiers of NetApp controller. So it's a subscription model, minimum 12 months up to 60 months. And we just charge per controller per month. So a very, very simple licensing model, allows you to maybe dip your toe in the water for a small period of time, see what you think to the product. And yeah, it's very, very easy and simple. And as you'll see at the end, we can get this in front of you as a trial or a demo as well. So that's really it on the slideware. what we thought we'd do is hand over to Will just to run a quick demonstration of the product so we can kind of see what it looks like in real life. So Will, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Paul. So I'm now going to jump into a demonstration of Restore Manager. Restore Manager is deployable as a virtual appliance and can quickly be deployed and configured so that you can start to get a clearer picture of the data within the snapshots, snap mirrors, and snap vaults within your NetApp estate. NetApp is a market leader and does a fantastic job at providing world-class storage solutions. However, finding out what is stored in your black boxes, detailing what is happening, and enabling file level recovery from snapshots, snap mirrors, and snap vaults is very difficult. And this only becomes more difficult the larger environments get. This is where Restore Manager steps in and provides a centralized file catalog. Everything in the product has been built around speed and simplicity, and as you can see, the GUI is very easy to view and navigate. As Richard mentioned, we utilize the snapdiff API to gather file metadata via periodic incremental crawls and store this information in our scalable Elasticsearch database. In the first part of this demonstration, I will show how we can use Restore Manager to find and recover a file from a snapshot. As you can see here, I have my logo_catalogic.png open. This could be a key file to your business. It might be something in the marketing department need for the next mass mail out, and effectively it's a very important file at this point in time in this example. I'm going to accidentally now delete this file. And as you can see, that file is now gone from my share. So I've got a panicked marketing manager banging on my door asking me, I've lost my file, how do I get my file back? Somebody's accidentally removed it. This is where Restore Manager steps in and excels. So if I click into the Restore Manager launch card, I've got the capability in here now to search through. And it's going to show me now the available files and paths that are available to recover from. If I select my file in here, I can restore my file. It'll give me a number of options for the restore, so I can use CIFS access instead of SnapMirror snapshot when possible. I can restore from another source if I want to, or I can go to an AltaVault specific source or an alternate source in there. For the purpose of the demonstration, obviously I'm going to use it from a snapshot. I can manually select my snapshot in here, so I can see what snapshots specifically have that file available within it. So within here you can see I'm going to go back to the most recent snapshot. I can also go to an alternate destination path. I can also put in here a new file name if I wish, or I can restore the whole folder. But for the purpose of the demo, I'll use the defaults and just simply restore that file. So if I click on Restore, as you can see, CIFS has failed, obviously, because we're not utilizing SNFs here, we're using snapdiff. Snapdiff will utilize that and will restore that file from the snapshot that's been selected, and that's been restored successfully. And that has been done incredibly quickly. So if I go back now into here, we'll see at the bottom of the folder, I have my logo_catalogic.png restored. Disaster averted, marketing team are happy again, they can use that picture for the mass mail out we're going to do. So really shows the power, how easy it is to start searching through your data via Restore Manager. We can also in here as well utilize the tree view. So if you're unsure on the file names, but you know specifically which path the file's within, you can start to search down and look within here and see specifically what data you have available to restore from snapshots as well. So that's pretty cool. In the second part of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how we can utilize the Kibana dashboards to start to visualize the metadata we have stored within the Elasticsearch database. Now this is a real powerful capability of the product that gives us the ability to start to delve into the data, analyze that data, and understand how specifically your data is working within your environment and what is happening within the environment. So on Kibana dashboards loading, this will then load the inode details dashboard by default. So this gives you an overview of the specific file types in the environment, any changes that are ongoing in the environment as well, and you can start to drill down into specific clusters, SVMs, volumes and shares to start to visualize information. There are a set of default dashboards in here as well, so we can start to look into permissions, groups, overviews, space distribution, etc., and start to get a clearer picture of what is happening within the environment. One of the other powerful capabilities is it gives us the ability to start to run specific discovery reports within the environment that you can custom build. So if we look into here, I've built a custom report around the last access time within the environment. And we can start to see specifically within the relevant monitored SVMs and volumes what files are being accessed. So we can start to drill down and understand what is ongoing within the environment and what is happening with regards to access. You can do the same for modified as well, and we can start to drill down over set periods of time. So you can go to the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, or even back as far as a year within here as well to start to understand what's happening within the estate. That information as well within here can also be exported. So once you've got the information you need, you can bring it out into a CSV report, you can generate the CSV, and that information then within here can effectively be downloaded, and you can start to search through an Excel spreadsheet as well. And there's the Excel spreadsheet opened. So it gives you some really, really powerful tools in terms of the ability to be able to start to understand what is going on within your NetApp file systems, and also provide you with the simplicity to be able to start to recover files from snapshots, snap mirrors, and snap bolts. And that is Restore Manager in a nutshell, guys. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll hand back over now to Paul and Richard.
Great, thanks very much, Will. So, Paul, any thoughts, any comments on that?
Yeah, I think what strikes me very much with that is its simplicity, and I think that's hugely important. Particularly when you're in a situation where you are desperately trying to restore files, you need access to information quickly. And for anybody like me who's worked with ONTAP for a long time, we know that natively that cataloging capability doesn't exist. We wouldn't be able to very quickly and easily search through mounds of both live production data as well as kind of our snapshots in multiple locations, wherever those might be. So I think that's hugely valuable, and hugely effective in terms of return on investment. Just the amount of time that would save some put upon storage administrators. And I think the final piece you showed there around the dashboards, again, hugely important. That kind of, we talked about this earlier, that kind of insight and visibility into how your data's being used, where it's stored, how it's growing. All of that kind of information, for me, is a hugely valuable part of a modern data strategy. So, yeah, really valuable. Thanks for that demonstration,
Yeah.
Will.
Absolutely agreed. So really just to finish off, I guess now, Paul, next steps with this and with the CryptoSpike products, we can provide you with demos, WebExes, either as a group or one-to-one. And also feel free, if you want to try this out, we can provide you with a free trial license to run a POC. Very simple to set up, very lightweight. And then, if you did want to look at the commercial sides, as I said previously, we just need the filer models. And then, you and the guys at Gartner can provide some pricing. So very simple in terms of next steps if you want to take a look. So just let us know. So thanks very much, Paul, for inviting us along.
Yeah, thanks, Rich, and thanks, Will, for both of you for kind of sharing that information. I think for our people who use NetApp, they will see hugely the value of what Restore Manager can bring. And from my point of view, and I very much I think commercially, it's really attractively priced, and actually the return on that investment is massive and can be achieved really, really quickly. So, but yeah, thanks, Rich, and again, thanks, Will, for kind of sharing your time, and thank you for watching our video. And if you and please watch out for more Gardener Tech videos coming in the not too distant future.